Warning: the Not Thought podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. There will also be spoilers for various anime throughout the course of this episode. Please use caution in case we discuss a series you haven't finished. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and may not reflect the Not Thought podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Dub Talk, where a group of nerds come together to talk about the latest and greatest in anime dubs, and we've got a special treat for you all tonight. You see, a few years ago, I was hosting a group watch of all the Digimon series that were out at the time with a few friends and some folks with the Dub Talk crew. And at the time, we all thought it might be a fun idea to do a classic episode for the original Digimon Adventure and some of the other Digimon stuff. And, it's taken a few years to get that off the ground. But we're finally here to talk about Digimon Adventure, and I'm really excited to get through the... wait a second. I seem to have made a mistake. I think I missed the colon mark on the end. Alright, so let's talk about the actual reason I'm here. You see, the actual reason I'm here is because I burned through all of Digimon Adventure 2020 while it was being simulcasted. And while I wasn't too happy with how it turned out, I did swear that if it ever got a dub, I would cover it here. So fortunately, or unfortunately for me, it did in fact get a dub, somehow. So here I am, suffering for amusement. But thankfully, I'm not alone. I dragged someone here with me. So joining me on this venture is Megan.
Digivolve into disappointment. I'm here because I like to hurt myself. Also because I fucking love Digimon. Like, a lot.
Say it.
And I, like Jet, am old enough to remember when we had baby nerd civil war. Between Pokemon and Digimon. And then you grow up to realize that you're Miguel and Tulio from Road to El Dorado, where you go both is good.
Yeah, I remember having to like that with my brother for the mood over like getting to watch Digimon because he was more of a Pokemon guy. But yeah, we are here to talk about Digimon Adventure 2020 or Digimon Adventure : if you're being technical. Which why would you? I don't really get why it's such a colon. It's so weird. But yeah, it's the reboot to Digimon Adventure, and people have opinions on that show. We have opinions on that show, and you're going to be hearing a lot of them tonight.
Goggle Jesus is rising.
Alright, so if you're not familiar with Digimon Adventure, or not familiar with the reboot, I mean, I'm pretty sure most people know the old show at this point. Here's the plot description, courtesy of ANN. Taichi is in 5th grade, preparing for a summer camping trip when a large-scale network malfunction occurs. Taichi's mother and his younger sister Hikari get stuck on a train and won't stop moving, and Taichi heads to Shibuya in order to help them. However, on his way there, he encounters a strange phenomenon that gets him swept into the digital world along with the other Digi-Destined. So, yeah, a bit of a different setup from how the original series started. I mean, the summer camp, I think, is still there, but they definitely raised the stakes a lot sooner, and yeah.
There was no camp. There was camp for about 5 seconds. Instead, what we got was nuclear warfare in episode 2.
Yeah, literally just, it's the end of the world in episode 2, and it keeps going.
It just keeps getting worse. Like, I think we have both genuinely watched some pretty bad shows for this podcast before. Like, genuinely probably worse than this. But I think we can both agree, I don't think we've watched anything as soulless as Digimon Adventure 2020.
Full disclosure for the audience here. as mentioned before, we are both big fans of Digimon and the original Digimon Adventure. Neither of us are particularly big fans of this show, and for me personally, it might actually be my new most hated anime, like, period, which is a thing that feels really weird to say, but yeah, I think I actually stand by that.
I don't think this is my most hated anime, but I think from somebody who like Digimon was probably one of my very formative anime before I knew what anime was, but like I usually say it to people like my first anime was Fruits Basket, and as somebody who's a Fruits Basket fan, I will 100% admit that I literally live being a fan of a show with by far what should be considered the like S tier gold star standard of anime remakes. Like, I understand that I'm spoiled. I really do. That being said, I don't think I've sat, like, I think we didn't, I think I only sat through a quarter of this show because that's what we both determined was fair to watch because this is like almost 70 episodes long, to discuss this. I don't think I've sat through a show or a reboot that just absolutely just did not fucking care for the thing that it was remade from. And I do understand from what you sent me that they did adapt this based off of some other Digimon media that had come out at the time as well and was very popular in Japan. And that's media that we as Americans never really got. And for the most part, a lot of the Digimon anime that we got was very much a product of the way that anime dubs, especially for children, were done in the 1990s. In that they weren't always 100% faithful to the original Japanese, were edited, had a lot of Americanizations for it. But Digimon Adventure always kind of stood out as a dub among the rest that was, while had, you know, like the TV SMP of the 90s and stuff to it, always still remained fairly close-ish to its source material. But granted, they also weren't taking an anime aimed at, like, Japanese teenagers and, like, moving it down an age notch. Like, Digimon has always been, like, a kid's anime.
Yep.
And it's really funny that 230-somethings are complaining about a children's show. But, like, my thing of it is that while the original Digimon Adventure wasn't perfect, it was still a really good kids' TV show and actually respected its cast of characters and its viewers' time. I think the best way I can describe it is that this show runs by the jingly keys method, where character development and plot progression is not actually earned. It is jingled in front of you with a shiny new power-up, hoping that you pay attention. But if you, like, look up from the keys jingling, you can see the hand, and that hand is like, covered in, like, feces.
Yeah.
Or that's too mean. I've seen worse. The hand is very much like the hand of, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it without sounding like ultra mean, and I don't want to be like super ultra mean to this.
I mean, you could just say it's a robot hand.
It's a robot hand, or it's, I think it was something that, like, Andrew and I were talking about, like, a couple of us were talking about last night, because as of the day we recorded this, Jump Fiesta was yesterday night. It's, you don't see the magic of it once you've seen what Oz is like behind the curtain. And when you watch this, you're just kind of like, but why?
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's probably going to be the mode we're in tonight. But we're going to try to have fun here. Because as mentioned before, we are here to talk about the dub, and I am a little surprised this got a dub, actually, considering. Because, I mean, Toei has been, like, fairly consistent about dubbing recent Digimon stuff. But you never know. But you never really know with them. They can be kind of fickle about stuff like that.
Let's also be 100% real. Toei has had a change of heart lately. Like a Persona 5 dungeon fucking happened over them.
It's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, they've definitely been a little more generous in the overseas market.
But, I say that because also somebody in the executive board died, and suddenly things started being a lot more kind of reasonable.
Man, I wasn't even gonna go there, but like, That does just feel like a really weird coincidence.
I mean, rest in peace to the person who did pass away. Like, our condolences to your family, but also, what the hell?
Yeah. I'm just hoping that newfound generosity might convince someone up there to be like, hey, you know what? We have all this pre-care stuff. Maybe we should actually dub it.
And not hack dub it, like, actually dub it.
It would be nice. But anyway, we are here to talk about this specific Digimon dub, and it's a pretty interesting one. And it's a pretty interesting one for sure. For anyone new to this program, generally we like to go down the ADR stuff for the series and then kind of go into the cast a bit. Going with the usual trend of somehow pretty much every Digimon dub, it was done by the fine folks at Studiopolis. And, specifically for our ADR director, we have one Ryan Johnston, and and handling the adaptive scripts for the series, we actually have several names. We have R.D. Chamberlain, Henry Mason, Y. Chang, Mark Ryan, Seth Wolfer, and Steve Kramer. Ryan Johnson is a pretty is one of Studiopolis' regulars, and he's done a lot of stuff. Typically things like Sword Star Exorcist, To the Abandoned Sacred Beast, Bleach Starting Blood War, and funny enough, the Digimon Tri films. And then, going into our scriptwriters again, R.D. Chamberlain has written for such things as Naruto, Dragon Ball, Curse of the Blood Ruby, specifically the Harmony Gold dub, which was just a really funny credit I found. The original Robotech, and speaking of hack dubs, good old Glitter Force.
Oh, God.
And then Henry Mason has done scripts for such series as Eden Zero, Engage Kiss, and Rising of the Shield Hero. Y. Chang has done scripts for such series as Hensky, Haido Kasabi, and Once of the Galactic Heroes, The New Enteze. Mark Ryan has actually done a lot of stuff over 4Kids, including things like Pokemon Advance and Shaman King 2001, as well as Digimon Fusion. Seth Wolfer has done such things as Die Gundam, Mega Man Star Force, and Digimon Tamers. And Steve Kramer has done scripts for such series as Blackjack, Shinzo, and Blue Dragon. So, a really interesting mix of director and writers. Specifically, a lot of writers who have done kid shows before, which is kind of nice.
And Y. Chang, who did Hensky. Very much not a kid show.
You had to, we had to get at least one, I guess. Direction wise, I think the dub sounds really solid. I like how they casted. I like how they casted the kids here. Specifically, I sort of like the fact that they did kind of assemble a group of actors who could kind of do really believable kid voices. That is a thing that's not always an easy thing to pull off an anime, and I'm kind of glad whenever it can be done. And I think it's handled pretty well here.
Oh, yeah, no, I like the cast of this. I think going into it, we all were pretty much aware that due to the Japanese side recasting everybody, including from, I believe, they didn't even bring back anybody from the Tri films, if I'm correct, right?
The only actors they retained were the actors for the Digimon themselves.
Yeah. So, everybody kind of, I think, knew going into this that the original cast wasn't going to be back. And unfortunately, even if they were going to be back, there were going to be obvious recasts due to a couple of the cast members passing away. I think specifically that being Felice Sampler who played Mimi, and Michael Rice, who played Joe.
No, not Michael Rice. That was Michael Lindsay.
Okay, yeah, Michael Lindsay, who played Joe. Like, there were obviously people who were going to be recast in the show just because, like, they had unfortunately passed away, or since it's been, like, God, like, 20-something years, like, obviously, like, maybe those people retired. So I don't think recasting in this case was a super, super bad idea. Would I wish they had gotten cameos from some of those people in some of the voices? Yeah, I think that would have been like a really cool touch. But unfortunately, some California studios, like when they recast, they like will not bring certain people back regardless. And there's always the chance, because Toei is involved with this dub, that they have more of a hand in the production process than others. Um,
And yeah, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were pretty specific about not having people from the old
yeah.
dub back.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything there that could. I don't think it's 100% fair to knock this dub down because they didn't have the old actors back, given a lot of context clues, and I do think that is something that a lot of anime fans, or especially dub fans, don't necessarily think about. That I would like to gently remind people of.
Yeah, on that note, it's something I'll bring up later when we talk about Agumon, but there is actually one kind of sort of interesting carryover from a previous Digimon thing, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the only one.
Yeah, and I will say that I think Ryan's direction on this is very solid. I do think that maybe the one kind of thing that might mess with people is sometimes some of the actors sound like they're emulating the old original Adventure dub, and it may not necessarily work here because unfortunately, like we've mentioned, the material isn't that good, and especially for some of the characters, like most notably, like I personally think that like TK and Joe really get the fucking shaft in their characterization. One, because TK just doesn't fucking matter to this show for like God knows how long, and two, they just did Joe's character so fucking dirty in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that being said, I also want to compliment the writing on this. It's definitely a more modern dub. There doesn't seem to be as many like Americanization and liberties like you would see back in the 90s, and it's a lot more faithful to the original Japanese from what I get. That being said, I do enjoy the attempts at humor that they in levity they put into this. And it doesn't feel like 5 people wrote the show.
Yeah, it's nice to get to some extra levity. It's always something that was needed because, frankly, the original version of the show doesn't have a whole lot of it. So definitely glad they got it in where they could. And yeah, for the amount of scriptwriters they had on this show, it all feels pretty seamless. And even and even going off of the Digimon Tri film, this is probably like one of the most faithful Digimon dubs we've gotten. So yeah, it's kind of nice to get a Digimon done. That's just like done completely straight. It's nice.
It is.
One particularly interesting aspect of the localization I also want to appreciate is that if you're coming off of this from having only seen the simulcast, and I mean that would be kind of weird, but if you are, you will probably notice that the characters here have different names. Specifically, the dub names from the old dub, which is a bit of a weird thing that they've kept carrying over for some reason. I guess because Toei had some involvement with the original dub, so I guess
Mm-hmm.
they're just keeping it all for consistency. It's weird, but anyway, they do keep that here. And one aspect of the localization I do appreciate is that while you do still have the old dub names here, there is kind of an attempt to sort of like integrate them a bit more naturally into the show
Mm-hmm.
as like nicknames, which was the excuse they had for them back then. So, for example, you have like Izzy actually introducing himself as Japanese name Koshiro, and then actually saying, "Oh, my nickname is Izzy." I'm like, you know what? That's cool.
Yeah, no, that's fine with me if that's a way like it's a better way to insert that as opposed to just being like, yeah, no, your name is Izzy now. And or like it's better than the old Four Kids one where it's like my name is I got to look up something. Let me see what her name was. Let's see what their fucking names were in Oh yeah. Here we go. It's better than the old Four Kids thing. We're like, hello, this is Tokyo Mew Mew. Her name is Ichigo. In America, her name is Zoe.
Yeah, those are the classics. I still think the funniest instance of that was when 4Kids tried to do an uncut version of Shaman King, and and for some reason they decided to do a weird half measure with some of the character names. For instance, there was one character whose name was originally Montup, and in the dub his name was Morty. So for the uncut version, they just changed his name to Morty Montup, which is just like incredible.
You tried. A for effort, kids.
For kids. But I definitely don't have any complaints about the dub on the directing or script writing front. I think they did a pretty good job for what they had with the material. And I would definitely say that the dub was like the more enjoyable version of the show for me to watch.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no. At this point, like, if you're gonna watch this, despite us all telling them that they're bad, please just watch the dub. It's a lot more tolerable. However, do not marathon this show. You will feel boredom.
Oh, absolutely. But anyway, now that we've talked about the staff a bit, get into the it's time to get into the characters. To which, honestly, despite the whole Digimon Adventure title, there frankly aren't a lot of recurring characters or characters that really speak because for some reason most of the Digimon in this version are just treated like wild animals. So like half of them don't even speak. It's weird.
Which, like, coming off of people who watched Adventure, like, religiously as a child and, like, as an adult, like, a lot of the fun of the original Digimon Adventure were that a lot of the Digimon had personalities, and they were, like, allies and enemies, and some of them were reoccurring characters. Of course, there were dumb personalities, but, like, this is fucking Digimon, where there are some Digimon that are quite literally like, this is a bear. It's turned into another bear, but this bear now has a gun for a hand.
But yeah, there aren't a whole lot of characters to dive into, so we're actually just keeping it to the core cast. For the sake of not having like 20 characters on one slide, we are going to split them up a little bit. So first, we're going to talk about the kids of the group. We've got Hikari Kamiya, or Kari in the dub. We've got Takaru Ishida, or TK. And we've got Patamon. That's right, Kari is Tai's little sister, who seems to have a mysterious connection to the digital world. While it is kind of the same thing in the original version, for the purposes of this show, she's just kind of like sitting around, just sort of, giving off a serious vibes, kind of wondering what's going on, hearing voices, all those things.
Welcome back to the Digimon Holy Spirit.
TK is Matt's little brother, and while in the original show, he was kind of like the kitty kid of the group, sort of had a very naive outlook on the world, and that was kind of his whole thing. In this version, he's pretty much just sharing space with Kari in terms of, in terms of the whole, like, mysterious destiny thing, kind of standing around waiting for stuff to happen. It's not great.
He is literally there. He is quite literally there to give Matt plot motivation and, like, just sit there and, like, every so often, like, have his partner just go, I am the light.
Yeah, and then lastly we have Patamon, who's being known as a celestial Digimon, and for the first, 20-odd episodes, the main goal for the Digimon Destined is to track him down. Unfortunately, we don't get too much time with Patamon for the amount of episodes we watch, but be just kind of there to, to set up the plot, and then just, that's basically it.
He's there so we can see Angemon in bondage.
To which we are talking about him, but I'm pretty confident that's Chris Hackney.
Oh no, it's 100% Chris Hackney. He said he was, which is really funny because it's quite literally the fucking Dimitri voice from Three Houses. With this hand of fate, I protect the lesbians. Shout out to all 5 people who understand what that meme is, and the consequential. He doesn't just hurt women. He doesn't just hurt women. He murders them.
Alright, so gonna get to who plays these characters. For Kari, we have Ryan Bartley. For DK, we have Karina Bodeker. And for Patamon, we have Lizzie Freeman. Ryan Bartley has played such characters as Gilda in The Promised Neverland, Rei Ayanami in the VSI dub of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Ram in ReZero. Karina Bodeker has played such characters as Somalian the Forest Spirit, Galko in Dino Galgako, and Terrible Tornado in One Punch Man Season 2. And Lizzie Freeman has played such characters as Kotoko Imanaga in Inspector, Senpai in Magical Senpai, and Hinoto Tachibana in Tokyo Revengers.
So we could probably start with Kari, who quite literally just sighs, goes, "Tai!" and is just cryptic Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that kind of... to be fair, that kind of isn't too dissimilar from how Kari was treated in the original series, but it still had, like...
Kari had a personality in the original series!
There was at least personality there.
Like, just... Kari, like, original Digimon Adventure Kari, like, literally basically just told Myotismon to fuck off at points. Like, she had some edge to her.
There was at least a little bit of edge here, and there kind of isn't in this version. It's kind of sad.
She kind of, like, her most notable things that she does is sighs, nearly gets crowd surfed by a bunch of people panicking, and then in episode 24 or something, the other kids are solving a solution, and the camera just pans over, and she's there cryptically, and they're like, "Oh shit, she's still here."
I will admit there was something funny about them, like being like, "Oh god, we've got to oh god, we've got to stop all these boats from crashing or something," and wow, trying to discuss all the particulars of the plan while she's just, standing there.
She's not doing anything. She's just standing there menacingly.
But I will say that, getting into the actual performance, I will say that Ryan Bartley is probably, out of the cast, she's probably the one who sounds the least like her original counterpart. But I do like the childlike quality to the performance. It's kind of nice. Like, it's nothing for it to appear in Ryan Bartley do like a kid voice, but I think she has a pretty good one.
Yeah, no, Ryan Bartley has a great kid's voice. I think she's very soft and sweet sounding. Again, I just wish the show remembered she fucking existed for 26 episodes.
It would have been nice. I do like Ryan's performance. It's just kind of sucks there isn't, too much going on with the actual character. And, unfortunately, it's kind of the same deal with TK here.
I really like Karina's performance, though. I think they actually do a really great little kid's voice. Calm down, Genshin fans!
I've never really heard Karina doing a more voice before, so I'm really impressed with how they sound. It's good.
Yeah, no, I think they were a great choice to be the new TK. I think they had a lot of passion. Obviously, I will say this, though. I think it's really weird Karina's double cast in this show. I'm not saying who their other character is, and I think I like that performance more because that character actually, has a fucking personality and doesn't spend 24 episodes just watching things and being kidnapped a bunch. If there is one thing that this show likes to do, I've learned, it is separate the kids or kidnap somebody.
Yeah. And if you think we're exaggerating, there is a point in the series where, Tali and Matt are off on their own adventure for a while the other kids are, and I'm not kidding, are literally just sitting on a bed somewhere.
Yeah, they are. Ty and Matt are quite literally trying to find the Celestial Digimon. Everybody else is sitting on this bench in Tokyo, and then they break into... For some reason, the show is also obsessed with having Digimon be mechs. Mecha bases. And they break into this mecha base with actual Digimon Jesus Leomon, who dies for your sins. It is not a true Digimon anime unless a Leomon is sacrificed.
Yeah. Any other Leomon are just like a lion equivalent. At least one of the two.
Yeah. Leomon is Arslan.
Uh,
Is Aslan from The Lion, the Witch, and the Audacity of this bitch. I mean the wardrobe. They break into this base, defeat this Bullmon who gives them like some explanation. Also, they randomly have a Minotaurmon. They're also fighting a Bullmon who quite literally does nothing but charge around in a circle. And then they open up the thing, and all of a sudden, it's just TK. There's no explanation for why the fuck TK is there. It's just TK. And it's only there so that they give Matt and Ty a reason to keep running around in the digital world, going to the base, because not only is TK just suddenly there for no fuck all reason, he then proceeds to get kidnapped again by a Digimon that was only seen in Digimon Frontier, that is implied, at least in Frontier lore, to be a, like, ultra-powerful, basically Guardian God Digimon, but here he's just a mook for Devimon.
Are you talking about the Skeleton Knight guy? Because there actually is an explanation there I can bring up for you.
No, it's Vidramon the bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the corrupted spirit of darkness that gets attached to Koichi in Frontier. Frontier is Megan's favorite Digimon season. I know my lore.
That's good. I was just kind of upset that they didn't really use the Skull Knight guy there, because that one is actually from Digimon Fusion, and he was like the best villain in that show. And so I'm kind of sad that not only was he just utilized poorly for here, he just literally doesn't even get to say anything. It's so bad.
Yeah, he literally is like, make me Digivolve. That's it. He, like, none of the, like, I'll be real, outside of maybe Leomon and the Ogremon in this show, to which, real fucking downgrade there, not on his voice, just on the way the character is, because Ogremon in the original Adventure was a fucking great character. Yeah, TK quite literally just exists to look at things, get kidnapped, and then when he's actually doing stuff, he's actually really cool, and I think Karina does a really good job there. Unfortunately, I feel like all of the cool shit that TK is doing is just not earned, and I don't fucking care.
Yeah, it really just kind of feels like stuff is happening because plot, and that's kind of TK's whole character.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I like TK a lot. I think TK was probably one of the cooler characters in the original Adventure because he was the younger kid, getting to do all the cool stuff. And then he, grows up a couple of years and commits one of the single greatest moments in Digimon history. Bitch slapping Ken.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, shout out to Doug Erhold for probably, when TK gets whipped in his response to that, probably awakening a lot of things in Baby Otaku.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I keep talking over you and I feel bad.
I was just gonna say it's kind of sad it doesn't show up in this batch of episodes, or at least that I know of. But but it's nice he has been attached to the franchise, so in like some capacity. Like he did at least have a role in Try, which was nice.
Mm-hmm. And then I think Lindsay Freeman does a cute job as Patamon. Unfortunately, Patamon shows up for like 2 episodes of what we watched, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Lizzie's fine, but we don't have too much to work off of. Honestly, the main reason I pushed for 26 episodes was that I wanted to at least make sure we could at least get something for Patamon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly how much longer it is till Gatomon shows up, but I think it's like another 10 episodes.
It's like 12 episodes. It's a whole nother core. Which is fucking insane to me.
Yep.
And like, granted, it took a while for Gatomon to show up in the original Adventure. But Gatomon was also a massive part of a major arc and stuff, and like, let's be real, like, they were actually a pretty decent character and led to probably one of the most formative baby's first saddest anime moment of all time. That, actually has weight and levity to it and feels like, oh my god, this is actually, like, really sad.
Pour it out for Wizardmon.
He's still trapped. Because remember, if Digimon die in the real world, they don't become eggs. They go to hell.
uh, I gotta love Digimon lore. But yeah, as far as these three go, like the performances are really good. It just kind of sucks that like Kaori and TK are basically just the exact same character with slightly different beats, and it's kind of disappointing. And then with Patamon, there's just not really enough to go off of yet, but it sounds
Yeah.
fun.
I have faith in Lizzie for doing it. Lizzie's had an exceptional last couple of years.
Hmm.
So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And from there, we're going to move on to some of the other kids, specifically for the first like four or so who Tai runs into after he gets sent to the digital world for the first time.
The apostles of Digi-Jesus.
Yep. Uh, so so we're going to be covering them and their partners. So we've got Koshiro Izumi, aka Izzy, and his partner Tentamon. Sora Takayoshi and her partner Biyomon, Joe Kito and his partner Gomamon, and Mimi Tatakawa and her partner Paimon. I mean Palmon. Okay. Well, I guess I spoiled the there.
Paimon. I was like, isn't that like wasn't that one of the Dark Masters?
I know my brain went to kitchen.
Oh.
So, Izzy is the brains of the outfit. He's the guy with the laptop, kind of, coming over with plans and stuff. Not too much of a. His character is probably I would say, least changed from the original. Like, they don't have the full backstory, which is kind of depressing because that was the thing I kind of liked the most about that character. But aside from that, like he's probably the least changed. And then we've got his partner Tentamon, who's just kind of a very chill insect guy. He's good people.
He's always been kind of like one of the more comic relief Digimon.
And then we got Sora, who is kind of the nice girl of the group. As I also not changed too much. So in this version, which is and it's kind of funny because it's something I always feel like they did on purpose. For this version, for some reason, they very specifically decided to make her Ty's childhood friend, which which is just kind of funny because
someone on the staff doesn't like the epilogue of O2.
Yeah, if you were there for the shipping wars of the original Digimon Adventure, that is extremely funny.
If you were a child and saw the original ending of 02, that was Baby's first like ship crashing for I think a lot of people. Where it's like Sora and Tai, what was it like? It was they were like what fucking dating? Matt and her were dating or something in Adventure 2, and then they got married in the epilogue or something.
It's been like a year or two. It's been like a couple of years since I rewatched O2. I think very specifically it was like it was like there was a point in O2 where I think like Sora was going to like a concert Matt was hosting, and like Tai kind of realized that Sora had a thing for him. So Tai kind of like put aside his feelings and supported her, and that was kind of the implication. And like it was like good for him. That was nice. But unfortunately, the fans weren't not too happy about that. So yeah, there were a lot of aggressive shipping wars back then.
Oh, Sora and shipping wars.
Yep, and yeah. So continuing, we've got Sora's partner Biyomon, who is just very nice, cheerful little bird. And then we've got Joe Kito, who is kind of a little bit overstrung worrywart whose whole thing is that he's from a family of doctors and feels like he needs to like overachieve, so he's obsessed with like so he's very obsessed with like doing well on exams so he can become a doctor and like do right by his family. And definitely a lot more obsessed with that in this version than he is in the original. It's kind of a bit more one note.
It's anger inducing if you liked Joe like me as a kid.
Mm-hmm. And then we got his partner Gomamon, who is just a very, very chill, very relaxed fish, little fishy boy. I love him so much.
He's a good boy.
Then we got Mimi, who's a bit of a rich kid who originally starts off the series having somehow made her own little kingdom in the digital world, just somehow because of course she did. And then Tide again kind of rope her into coming along. It's pretty funny. Uh, so, uh, uh, I can complain about a lot of the kids in the show, but Mimi is probably the one that they have done the least dirty.
Mimi is always the best character in Digimon Adventure. I will fight anybody who says differently.
Of course. And then we got her partner Palmon, very just very chill little plant dinosaur. Works with Mimi a lot. Very cute. So getting into who plays these characters. For Izzy, we've got Anne Yakno. For Tentamon, we've got Christopher Swindle. For Sora, we've got Jeremy Lay. For Beamon, we've got Tara Sands. For Joe, we've got Damon Mills. For Gumamon, we've got Al Cazares. For Mimi, we've got Susie Young. And for Palmon, it's Karina Bodegar again. So, Anne Yakno explains such characters as well, forgive me if I butcher this, but also, I guess, don't. Bambiana Ambassador in Bleach Insanity or Blood War. You gotta love Bleach names. Nobara Kuzusaki in Jujutsu Kaisen. And Tokugawa Yamitsu in Oku the Inner Chambers. Christopher Swindle has played such characters as Kaden Tachibana in Millennium Actress. Jack Hanma in Netflix Baki. And Hawkmon in Digimon Last Evolution Kizuna. Jeremy Lay has played such characters as Red Blood Cell and Cells at Work, Chloe Cerise in Pokemon Journeys, and believe it or not, because this is extremely funny, Biyomon in Digimon Adventure Try.
Yeah, no, that's just fucking hilarious.
That's beautiful. Tara Sands has played such characters as Mina Misasa in The Orbital Children, Bulbasaur in Pokemon, and Kari Kamiya in Digimon Adventure Try.
Because of course.
Just, of course. David Mills has played such characters as Asakaze in Sunny Boy, Alone in Saint Seiya the Lost Canvas, and Mephio in Pokemon Horizons. Alex Cazares has played such characters as Akumakun the First in the new Netflix version of Akumakun, Rebecca and Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and their most immaculate performance, Lily, aka Glitter Peace and Glitter Force.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna talk about their Mr. Osamatsu character.
Look, if I ever have a moment to mention Glitter Force, I'm always going to bring it up because it's so funny that doesn't exist.
Okay, fair.
Susie Young has played such characters as Guadalina Milze in 86, Akima in Chainsaw Man, and Jupiter in Pokemon Evolutions. And then Krita Bodegar has done everything you mentioned before, and of course Paimon and Genshin Impact.
I can't be over Mimi being sharing an English voice with Makima from Chainsaw Man.
Alright, so which of these pairs should we talk about first?
I guess I honestly think let's get rid of Sora and Beamon first, because frankly they kind of do the least.
If there's one thing they carried over here that is also kind of unfortunate in its own way, much like the original, Sora kind of gets the least to do out of the gang.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it kind of sucks because I do like Jeremy Sora. Once again, Jeremy Lay is good at kid voices, like really good at kid voices, in fact. And if you don't believe me, you need to watch KOTOR Lives Alone. I am so really amazed you can do a really believable 4-year-old. It's terrifying. But yeah, while this isn't quite as scary a vocal display as that, it's still pretty good, and I do think she does a pretty good job of, making Sora seem very nice and down to earth and friendly. Just, a very nice kid.
And a little bit more tomboyish than Susie's Mimi, who's a lot more feminine. But of course, we never actually see Sora doing tomboyish stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the closest we kind of get is when like they all first come to the world. And like she's got a whole bunch of supplies with her, including like she's got like kids, like some bottles of water, like a cutting knife. And it's like it's like it's good to get prepared.
Yeah, 'cause she was preparing to go back to
Yeah.
the next camp. And then all of a sudden, hello, I'm in the digital world.
Yep. I kind of wish they got to play with that more, but as mentioned before, this version isn't super big on character work, unfortunately.
Yeah. I do think Jeremy does a good job of, like, getting Sora down. It's just, I honestly think that, Sora just doesn't fucking do anything.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then with Terra Sands being on, also not a whole lot to do in this version. I mean, I do think Terra bounces off of Jeremy's sword pretty well when they. And I can't say they have a whole lot. I can't say they have a whole lot of chemistry because they don't get to have a whole lot of downtime. But you kind of can, but you can sort of believe. I mean, you can kind of buy into Beamon wanting to do her best to protect Sora, even if
Mm-hmm.
I wish they got a little bit more time to explore that. But for what they have, I think Terra does a good job. The body performance, I do want to praise, and I'm probably going to do this with like a lot of Digimon. Is I do appreciate the vocal evolution with like all the Digimon, with all the Digimon evolutions. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I do like the way her voice deepens with like all the Digivolutions. I think that's a pretty cool touch.
Oh, 100%. I think that goes for all of the actors for the Digimon. They do a fantastic job if they stay throughout doing the whole Digivolution line.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that's a cool choice. Did you have anything else you want to add for these two, or did you want to move on?
Oh no, I think they're good. I just again wish that they got to do more. And I actually really, really like Tara Sands in a lot of stuff. I think she's like just criminally underused as an actress.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I think the one thing I also really liked about her her Biomon is that it had a lot more softness to it. And I think that worked because this Biomon's a lot softer. Slash B also unfortunately used as a it's also sadly unfortunately used as a MacGuffin. No, she's not a MacGuffin. She's just a transportation device in this, unfortunately.
Yeah. To which I'm gonna have to bring this up at some point, but I guess we might as well do it here. If there's a lot of aspects of the show that annoy me, but if there's one thing in particular that really grinds my gears, it's the way they handle evolutions, because because of course they gave Tai and Matt a very nice Sakuga written like evolution sequence for the Agumon and Gabumon lines, because of course they would. Everyone else, they just kind of get like a ball of light and like boom, that's it.
Yeah,
And
it's a ball of light in their color, and then just, oh, you're transformed now.
yeah, and yeah, and it gets especially awkward with like Beamon, whenever Beamon like needs to fly. It just looks weird.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I bet that's more or less it for those two. Should we get Joe out of the way?
Yes. Man, they fucking did my boy dirty. I like Damon's performance a lot as Joe. Damon has an incredibly versatile range. And honestly, like, I think it was always this was one of the two characters I think was always going to be the hardest for somebody to step into, knowing that Michael Lindsay had passed away. But the thing is, though, at this point, Joe has also now been played by, what, 3 other people now?
This is the third person. It was Michael Lindsay, then Robbie Damon, and now Damon.
And then there's a 4th one.
If there is a fourth one, I do not quite remember who it is.
Yeah, there is one for the redub of the original Adventure films.
Yeah, Eli Farmer, I think.
Yeah.
I definitely gotta hear how that sounds.
Hmm.
Yeah, I will say this was probably the one that sounded like out of all the guys, it's probably the one that definitely sounded the least like the Emerson performance. And I will admit that it is kind of weird considering it's a Damon Mills performance. It was the one that actually had to grow on me the most because it sounded so different. I think for me, I was kind of expecting, I'm kind of used to Joe sounding like extremely high strung, like
Hmm.
basically all the time, and David's performance actually started off a little bit more subdued than I was expecting. The high strongness definitely does get added on with like time, and you definitely hear it more in later episodes. But for like the introductory episode, it was maybe a little bit more subdued than I was expecting, and it took some getting used to. Like the performance was so good. I mean, it's David Mills. I don't think I've ever heard David Mills turn in a bad
Hmm.
performance. It was just something I kind of need to get used to, so it wasn't like a little weird for me.
It just also sucks that again they kind of bastardized Joe's character in this. Joe is kind of an asshole in this show.
Yeah. They took the whole thing about him kind of being obsessed with like doing well on exams so he can, appease his family and all that. They kind of like leaned in on that a little bit too much, and it makes him kind of obnoxious. Like, to the point where there's just like, a whole bunch of moments where he's just like actively refusing to go along with the group, and it feels like it does feel like it's stretched too far. I can't see the original Joe like ever doing that.
It also just doesn't help that he's also trying to be the leader, and it's like all he does is kind of cause problems and being an asshole,
Uh,
and that just that just makes me upset.
I will say, and it is kind of funny that like for as much as they've ruined the character, he is probably the out of all the kids, he is probably the one who actually gets the most character development. Funny enough.
They just ruined him to get to it.
Yeah, he does have his moments where he has to stand up, like the episode where he's traveling with Matt and Sora, and Sora gets injured, so
Yeah, that episode was really good.
so he has to stay behind to fend off a whole bunch of Digimon that are pursuing them. So it's his big moment to be brave, and like that was a good episode. I really like David's performance there. I kind of wish Joe got more episodes like that, but yeah, that was
He's
kind of
not
his.
Ty.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be the moral of this episode here.
He's not Ty.
Yeah, if you're not Ty, good luck. You're not getting much of anything.
Yeah, he's not Ty. And I will say this though, like I think a lot of Joe rubs me the wrong way because for a guy whose crest is reliability, he's not very reliable.
Mm.
But then again, crests don't fucking matter in this show until like the last episode, apparently.
Not the last episode, but they don't get brought up for like a long time. It's actually pretty weird.
Mm-hmm. And then one of them, like I do think that Joe, like Damon, does a good job though. I think actually I was surprised it was him because I thought he sounded a little bit like Michael Lindsay in the beginning, and then he got into himself, and I'm like, okay, I can run with this. That being said, I love Alex Serra's as Gomamon.
Oh yeah. The Gurman just sounds extremely adorable.
They're extremely cute, and I like how they made it their own while still kind of invoking the original performance. Because I'll be real, I think out of all of the original Digimon voices, by far the two who always stuck with me were Tentamon and Gomamon.
Yeah, they
Like,
definitely sounded the most distinct.
yeah, they were. And it was also their personalities were like the most fun out of the other original Digimon. Um, I think that Alex has that spirit, but makes it her own so well. And I also have to compliment her Hikakumon voice because I believe it's still her as Hikakumon.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um,
I don't think she does Zudamon, but she does
she does
definitely do
not
Hikaku.
do Zudamon though. But no, I just like how easy and fun going it is, and it's a genuine little treat in this show. And I again wish that they got to do more and stuff and show up. And I think there are a lot of really like little funny moments with them too. Like, I think there was one, it's like, climb on, I'm super soft. And I'm like, yes, you are. And I would hug you in a second, Dikagumon.
But David's performance is pretty solid, and I really do like Alex. I think the two of them are. I think as many problems as this version of Joe has, the two of them do at least make a pretty fun duo. and I think they bounce off each other pretty well.
I think in terms of duos, I think they're second, maybe in chemistry to Mimi and Palmon, but that's a hard. Mimi and Palmon are always the best bounce off partners.
Mm. Yeah, speaking of which, I guess we should talk about Mimi. Okay, I mean, Flea Sampler had a pretty distinct voice, so like, it was not, so like, no matter what, Mimi was always going to sound different. But I think Susie does a pretty good job of paying some moments of Sampler's performance while definitely doing her own thing. Many problems that I have with the show, I do like this version of Mimi quite a bit. Like, she does come off as like a little bit of a spoiled rich kid, but you can tell that she does have. I mean, you can tell that she does definitely have like a pretty strong heart of gold and does kind of want to look out for everyone in her own way, and that comes off. That comes off pretty well in Susie's performance. I think she does a pretty good job of making the character feel pretty charming.
I think the thing I like about her is, one, I think that Susie's range is up with Damon's as being one of the most versatile in anime dubbing right now. But I'm not used to seeing her play like a young like kid girl that has a more childish spin to her. Yes, obviously for all of us who remember Susie's first lead, like Kimono Friends, where she's like 3 different characters that speak in a different, distinct way. Like, Kaban, as much as Kaban looks like a child, she's still kind of an adult. And I don't think I've ever heard her get to be, like, this fun and kind of goofy, and I really appreciated that, and I think that, by far, she lives up to being the best character in the show. Because Mimi is. Mimi is always the best adventure character. I will fight anybody on this.
Absolutely, look. Look, there's a lot about this show that I would recommend, but if I were to recommend any of the show, I would also just point you to all the Mimi episodes. Like, pretty much all of them are good.
Yeah, I absolutely adored the one with her where Lilymon appears for the first time. I thought it was fantastic. I wish it was a 2-parter, just so Mimi could have more character screen time, because I thought it was a fantastic episode that also almost slowly relies on her and Karina's acting back, because that Digimon doesn't speak. And especially on Susie, and Susie does a fantastic job. And one of my other favorite moments is when she's talking about the avocado burgers. And Palmon's like, "What's that?" And you're just like, "Oh my god, Mimi's like, "We're gonna go get burgers!" And I'm like, "I fucking love you, child. I love you, you beautiful pink little thing." And just her introduction episode where she literally fucking beats the shit out of Tai and Sora.
That was great.
Mimi for President 2024.
Yeah. I can at least say she definitely reflects my values.
And I also have to compliment Karina a lot, because I think their Palmon is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, it's definitely interesting because, as someone who has played a pretty considerable amount of Genshin Impact, I can definitely hear, like, a little bit of the Paimon voice. Maybe like a little bit screechier to kind of emulate the rhythm performance a bit more. But I really do like it. It definitely sounds pretty charming while also definitely paying home into the rhythm performance, and I really like it. Palmon just sounds delightful.
I think the, like, creaturey aspect of it is really up there. Because Palmon is, like, the most gremlin-y kind of creature voice out of all of the Digimon. And that little tiny, like, growl to their voice is perfect. And I just love the whole, like... I just love Palmon's little critter voice. It's so fucking cute!
Yeah, and I've been kind of saying that probably, like, out of all the Digimon, like, when it comes to Digimon Evolution line, there's probably, like, the most contrast in terms of how, like, all the evolutions sound. So it's a really good display of Corda's range. Like,
It goes from a plant to a cactus to a fairy.
Yeah, like, Togemon sounds very different from Palmon, and Lilymon sounds completely different from both of them.
Yeah, Karina gets to show off their range in this show, and I think by far more than anybody, I think they do. Because they're playing the most creaturey things and the most humanoid thing, and they're playing 2 different characters. And I think overall they hit a really nice balance between all 3 of them. And if you had not heard of Karina Buttiger, or you've heard, like, only mixed things about their performance in a very popular video game, I would definitely suggest clips of this show to watch of their performance, not the show. So I think they did a great job, and it's very cute. I just wish there was more to say, mostly because, again, after a certain point, Mimi and them all get kind of relegated to off-screen for, like, 6 or 7 episodes, and you only get, like, snippets of them going back, and a lot of that is just Mimi, Joe, and Sora all responding to Izzy, talking about things and info dumping, and their responses are just kind of childish bickering or fighting stuff. Though I will say, I really do think it's funny the moment between, and I gotta compliment their comedic acting, the moment between Damon and Susie where they're talking about the AIS system, and Joe's trying to act all smart and Mimi's just like,
Yeah.
and Sora's just there because Sora doesn't get to have fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of fact that they don't get a little bit more to do there. But I will at least say after after a certain point, the show does eventually decide it would be a good idea to have more one-off episodes, and they do get like a little bit more to do then, but it definitely takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, before we wrap things up here, we definitely need to talk about Izzy here because while he isn't quite as important as Ty or Matt, he is probably the third in terms of importance, which, you know what? That's at least a little bit of a nice upgrade for the original. I'm glad Izzy gets to do more.
Oh yeah, and I think the best thing about this is how much Annie gets a really good Izzy voice. I don't think I've actually heard Annie play a little boy.
It's, yeah. I like it a lot. I definitely heard a few things that Andy Alter's been in, and I've enjoyed her a lot of those things. But but yeah, this is definitely pretty distinct. I like it quite a bit. It's a pretty, like you can definitely hear a bit of homage to what Motomartha was doing in her original performance. But it's so sad. But it still sounds pretty distinct from hers, while definitely being its own thing, and it's really delightful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do dig it quite a bit. Like, honestly, if I were being frank, I think it's probably my favorite performance in the dub.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I think Anne does a really good job of making Izzy come off as, kind of a bit of a humble, awkward kid who's, like, clearly well-meaning, but also isn't very used to doing with others outside of, like, on a computer. And I think that Anne does a pretty good job of that. Like, even in Izzy's introduction, you can kind of hear a little bit of that awkwardness there when Izzy's, like, introducing himself to Ty for the first time, and I thought that was, like, a pretty nice little interaction. And then again, while there isn't, like, a whole ton of character stuff here to work with, I did like the episode where, like, Izzy's computer was shut down, and he had to, like, rely on his own wits for a while. I thought that episode was pretty fun.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, but I also felt like it was just kind of like a fucking really.
Yeah, okay, I mean, look, there's not a whole lot of character stuff to work with in this show, so I'll take what I can get.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really did. But yeah, I really did like Anne's Izzy a lot. Unfortunately, while I liked Christopher Swindle's Sentimon, I will say that out of like the Digimon performance, it is probably the one that sounds like the least distinct, which is kind of weird considering how distinct the original Sentimon voice was.
Yeah, let's be real. I think if you were gonna step into Tentamon, I think you had probably one of the hardest battles to climb, because I believe the original Tentamon was Jeff Nimoy, correct? Yeah, Jeff Nimoy's Tentamon is kind of iconic. It is a recognizable performance from anyone. Like, if you heard it, you'd be like, that is Jeff Nimoy as Tentamon. It was funny, it was comedic, it was very much a kid's show performance, but it had the nuance there because there were genuinely great Tentamon and Izzy episodes in the original, and he and Mona Marshall bounced off each other very well. And a bunch of the thing was that Tentamon also had a lot of wisecracks in the original, and was very much the Pokedex of the show. I don't think Christopher Swindle's performance is bad. I just think it's just lacking charm. And And that's kind of a general running issue throughout a lot of the performances, is that it's just not as charming.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. I will say that I will say I really do like the contrast Christopher Swindle gets to have with only like Tetsuman evolutions. I do think the voice definitely gets to sound a lot more distinct when it reads like commentary mod or mega commentary mod, which I really dug.
But just the base Tentamon is just kind of okay compared to it. And I think they actively try to explain that he has like a Kansai dialect or something.
Yeah. Yeah, to which if that was the case, it definitely does explain what Jeff Zebo was doing in the original.
Yeah, they actively explain that he has an accent compared to everybody else, and I just don't think it translated as charmingly over to this one as it did the original adventure. That being said, he does have a lot of good funny line reads though.
Yeah, I think he probably does get to have the most one-liners.
Yeah, he's kind of the goofball of the group.
But yeah, I like these two. Not quite as much chemistry as their original incarnations, but I think they do make for a pretty decent duo.
Alright, let's rip off the band-aid. Let's talk about Digimon Jesus and Digimon Peter.
Yep. So rounding out the cast, we've got our final four characters of the evening. We've got Taichi Kamiya, aka Tai, and his partner Agumon, and Yamato Ishida, aka Matt, and his partner Gabumon. Tai, Tai is okay. Okay, look, he's Poochie. He's just Poochie.
This is Tai Kamiya. He can do no wrong.
Hey, look, this is time. Like, you see Ty every time you're watching the show, everyone's to be wondering where's Ty.
Yeah. I
Uh,
wonder
so,
what
uh,
Tai goes to the bathroom. I wonder what Tai is doing right now.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not versed enough in Simpsons to recite the entire joke offhand. I'm sorry,
It's okay.
but but yeah, Ty is the Ty is the hero of this show. When his family gets caught up in like a whole series of in like the whole series of incidents that starts off the show. He runs his head in, gets sucked into the internet and annoyed in the digital world, where he meets his buddy Agumon, who's just kind of here to be the I can't even say a hot blooded partner because he's not because he's
He's
just kind of a simple little guy.
he's here to sell toys.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you. Okay, I would say you can have a Digimon thing without an Agumon, but they aren't quite as reliant on him as like Pokemon is with Pikachu.
Yeah. Or no, he's their Charizard. Because remember, the Pokemon Company is now also reliant on Charizard.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Greymon is basically just Digimon Charizard. And then we like and then Matt is a mysterious kid that Ty runs into while he's running around the internet. Who seems to have gotten his Digimites before he did. And then later, when Ty and the gang are exploring the digital world, they run into him again, and he joins the group. As in the original, his whole thing is that he's trying to do his best to look out for his little brother TK, and that's pretty much true here. But there kind of isn't much else going on with him otherwise. Kind of unfortunate considering I did kind of like Matt's character arc a lot in the original series.
Mm-hmm.
And then his buddy Gabumon is just kind of, he's a pretty chill guy who's just kind of there to bounce off of Matt's kind of, brash kind of, emo guy attitude. So, going into who plays these actors, for Ty, we've got Zeno Robinson. For Agumon, we've got Ben Diskin. For for Matt, we've got AJ Beckles. And for Gabumon, we've got Dave V. Mitchell. Zeno Robinson has played his characters as Body Toss in the case of his Body Toss. Akira Tendo and Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, and Go in Pokemon Journeys. Joseph Joestar, oh wow. I jumped ahead. Ben Diskin has voiced its
Holy
characters.
shit, that would be a completely different series if Joseph Joestar was his. Oh my Christ.
Yeah, so Ben Diskin has voiced its characters as Joseph Joestar in Joseph's Bizarre Adventure. And shout out to Digimon Fusion and his most immaculate performance. Cute mod in Digimon Fusion. I feel like before we move on, I should actually mention a little bit. I was going to actually mention a little bit of an interesting incident as to why he probably cast here. Because you see, going into like the Japanese version of Digimon, Agumon is played by an actress by the name of, I believe it is Chiaki Sakamoto, and she's been the voice of Agumon since the original series, and it's also voiced a couple of other partner Digimon in other series. Typically, she also played Shoutmon in Digimon Fusion or Digimon Cross Worlds, if you've heard the original title. So as far as the dub goes, for the dub version of Digimon Fusion, Shoutmon was played by Ben Diskin. So as a little bit of a nod, they cast Ben Diskin here as Agumon to kind of contrast with Chiaki Sakamoto, and that was actually something he mentioned on Twitter for why he got casted. So you know what, that's kind of a neat little nod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then continuing, AJ Beckles has played such characters as Takamichi Hanagaki in Tokyo Revengers, Shoko McDonald in Shaman King, and Hop in Pokemon Journeys. And then Dave B. Mitchell has played such characters as Cyborg 004 and 009 Re-Cyborg, Boro and Boruto, and Ronan Martinez and Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn.
Alright, let's talk about Anime Peter first, because we obviously have to save time for last, otherwise we will be smited by Toei themselves.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I will say it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny getting an announcement that AJ got casted as Matt, because I actually suspected it for a long time, because I remember when AJ like first hit it big and he was like listing off. I was listing out some of the roles he got. And there was like this one role that for like at least a good year or two he kept alluding to, but kept saying he couldn't announce. And the more time went on, the more I was like, oh god, it's got to be something Digimon related. And I kept
We all thought he was going to be Izzy.
Yeah, yeah. And I kept thinking who he was going to play. I was going to be like, okay, it has to be either Matt or Izzy.
I thought it was going to be Izzy, not Ezzy. But I like his Matt. I like AJ's Matt. I think AJ's a very talented actor. And I think that he gets a lot of the original Matt performance down. And let's be real, nobody will be the worst Matt to ever Matt except for the First Try movie. And I'm not going to say anything more than that.
Yep. Absolutely, definitely a much better Matt than that.
Yeah, like, it's not hard to be a better Matt than that. This one really felt like he knew the spirit of the character. And unfortunately, the writers of the show did not. Matt literally exists to just brood and be emo and, like, have to learn the value of friendship and, like, that, like, sharing the burdens of his heart or, like, is not healthy for him. Except for it's literally done in, like, 5-second snaps. And I think the actual moment that really pissed me off in the show, more than the second moment that pissed me off in this show, like, in terms of how angry I got and, like, was like, oh, just go fuck yourself show, is that when he finally joins up with the team, is this episode where he knows the rest of the team for about 5 seconds before running off to be a martyr. And that episode consists of probably the Joe moment I hate the most, which is Joe making a white flag to surrender and getting blown up and nearly killed because he's being a fucking little whiny bitch.
Yeah, that sucked.
And in that moment, Matt finally realizes what friendship is, and, like, flashing back to these characters as if he's known them for, like, more than 5 seconds, and that gives him the courage to power up and succeed. Except for he's known them for 5 fucking minutes, and it doesn't matter. Because every time this show wants to give character development, they do it the Power Rangers Super Megaforce way, which is throwing them a power-up out of fucking nowhere and saying, there's your character development, don't think about it. And Matt probably gets this the fucking most.
Oh, absolutely.
And AJ is doing his damnedest to act through this. Because, like, there are all these big emotional moments that you're supposed to have about Matt and TK. Because Matt and TK are brothers. Except for, TK is literally a MacGuffin and not an actual character for 20-something episodes. And then eventually he does show up, and all he does is really get kidnapped, kicked around, and Matt telling him to hide. TK runs out. Matt realizes that they can do stuff together, and you're supposed to have these big emotional moments. Except for it doesn't work, because just, like, half the time after they do these, the villain that they killed, just suddenly gets revived and digivolved again. So what was the point of the first 20 minutes of this show? Of this episode? Why are we even here? And bless AJ's heart, he is acting his heart out through this. Like, his performance is really good. And he's just gotta deal with, like, some of the worst singular plot escalation and character development, which is saying a lot because he's in Tokyo Revengers!
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. I will say that while I have a lot of problems with how Matt has written this show, if there is one moment I think that is done decently and that I think AJ acts pretty well, that it's this episode where he's traveling around with like Sora and Joe, and they're helping out this group of Digimon that are in danger, and Matt's spending a lot of the episode doing his usual thing of brooding. Brooding because he's worried about something, and like Gabumon keeps trying to encourage him to open up, and then eventually as things escalate, he eventually does, and Matt admits to the gang that like, oh, I have a little brother, I'm really worried about him, and like every second we're here, like something could be happening to him, and for as many problems as I have with like Matt and TK's dynamic over the rest of the show. In that moment, I could kind of believe it, and I thought that AJ's performance there was really good. It did kind of do a pretty good job of making me believe that.
Yeah, no, AJ is giving a believable performance. It just sucks that the show is not very good underneath.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and on the contrast, if you thought if you thought Tentamon was like the most their Digimon partner performance, that was Gabumon to me.
Yeah. Dave B. Mitchell's performance was like fine, but like it's just kind of there, unfortunately. Again, there's not so too much. There's not a whole lot for this version of Gabumon to do, but like, yeah.
This Gabumon is genuinely who I think the Digimon equivalent of, like, the biggest step down in character is. This Gabumon has none of the warmth and energy to counteract Matt's loneliness too much. And he feels like just an accessory for just, alright, we gotta fight to progress the plot. Okay, Digivolve.
Yep.
Like, that's it. There's no genuine warmth or, like, contrasting personality, because unfortunately all of these kids are flawed in, like, the most basic way, but they don't get to develop much past it because this show believes that plot development is given to by fighting. But David Mitchell's performance is just very much there for me, and it did absolutely nothing. And, like, I won't say that the original Gabumon Voice in Adventure was perfect, or the original character, but that Gabumon actually felt like a character.
Yeah.
This one doesn't.
Yeah. Honestly, the most I felt this person of Gabumon had to do with like that scene I literally just mentioned.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, to his credit, I did like Dave's delivery there. I did kind of like how he was, trying to get Matt to open up, and I thought that was pretty nice. I just wish they had more moments like that.
Yeah, but unfortunately the show believes in fighting and explosions and not quiet.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and Dave kind of gets, I think, like, the shortest end of the stick here out of all the Digimon partners. For as much as we complained about a lot of the other ones, at least a lot of the other Digimon outside of really Biyomon kind of have a personality to them. It just feels like they didn't even really want Gabumon in the story, but they had to because he's iconic to Matt.
To which we couldn't get, to which we couldn't get to it in this batch of episodes, but there is one thing from this show that I really do need to show you, and I'll see if I can pull it up while we're talking.
Okay. And then I guess let's just move on to the Immaculate too, unless you want to talk more about Gabumon.
I guess we could move on to we can start moving on to the Immaculate too.
I don't want to overstep you as host. So.
Okay, there it is. I found it. Just give me a second.
Oh, cool. Let me see this and I can react to it in real time.
Yeah, that is a real thing that happens to Digimon Adventure. And to be clear, that is in fact an actual.
Oh my god, that's right! He does get crucified in this show!
It is the weirdest episode.
I forgot Gabumon dies for your sins is in this show.
It was so weird. They aired it on a Sunday. Like,
oh god. Keep the real reason of the season in your thoughts.
Yeah, they aired it on a Sunday. There were like a whole bunch of summoning circles and stuff. It was so weird.
Gabumon, the real reason for the season.
I literally could not believe it when I watched that episode.
That's like the equivalency of like the Fate Zero episode where Kiritsugu blows up the plane airing on Mother's Day. Like that's that level of timing.
Okay, I mean the funniest timing for an anime episode will still always be the Madoka finale airing on Good Friday. That's just
oh yeah. That. Oh, and Panty and Stocking ruins Christmas.
But yeah, now that we've got that bit of funny out of our system, we should move on.
Can that please be the episode title card? It's just Gabumon being crucified. That's how we both feel about doing this.
We do this for your amusement. Alright, so let's rip off the band-aid and talk about Tai and Agumon.
I think Ben Diskins does a good job as Agumon. Agumon has more of a personality than Gabumon in this show. And I think Ben does a good job with the monster voices across Greymon, Metal Greymon. That one time War Greymon showed up in the most infuriating fucking way possible. I'll get to that bullshit. But, like, he's good, and I just don't think he has as much charm as the original Adventure Agumon, and I know it's bad to harp on it and compare to it, but, like, I loved the original Agumon voice. It was very, like, creaturey and charming and funny. And, like, I'll admit, Ben does get his moments, and Ben has a good time with Agumon when Agumon's allowed to actually, you know, do something other than fight and talk about how he has to protect Tai. One of my favorite deliveries is when they're talking about flying over the jungle or something to get to the mountaintop, and just the delivery between Ben and Zeno where it's like, oh, as long as Birdramon doesn't digivolve back. Wait, what? Like, that's, like, kind of, like, one of those funny moments with him, but, like, Agumon doesn't get to be as funny in this show. And I don't think Ben gets to show off as much, like, the comedic chops that he can have, because the show is all serial all the time.
Having heard Ben do other Digimon things, this is probably, like, the least distinct sounding, because, as mentioned before, he does play Shoutmon in Digimon Fusion. And for all intents and purposes, Shoutmon is basically just like, what if someone made Kamina in Digimon?
Quite literally, to the point where he literally forms into the Gurren Lagann.
Digimon Fusion is just Digimon Fusion is just a mecha show in disguise. It's great. But anyway, this isn't quite as energetic as that, but I do like Ben's Agumon here. Agumon is a pretty simple guy, and Ben gets that across pretty well. And he can sound like pretty charming in his own way. Whenever his simplistic personality is bouncing off Tai or like any of the other characters, and that can be pretty fun in its own way. I just don't think he gets to do like quite as much as that as in the original version. But that's kind of a running theme here.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like how much Ben gets to show off his vocal range with all the Greymon evolutions. Like it's pretty nice touch.
1001 ways to transform your Agumon.
I'll never not be surprised by just how wide Ben Diskin's vocal range is. It's honestly pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Ben's got it for days, and this is no different. It's just unfortunately in a show with subpar material. And then, oh boy, here we fucking go. I want to preface this by saying I think Zeno is an incredible actor, and I think he does a fantastic job as this Tai. I fucking hate this Tai.
Same here. Same here. I love Zeno. He's a fantastic actor. I'm really glad he got to live on a childhood dream by getting to voice Tai. It's just really unfortunate that this version of Tai sucks so bad.
Yeah, I have genuinely heard Zeno play incredibly complicated characters. And Zeno does a lot of really good work in some of my favorite anime of all time. And, like, while I wouldn't consider the original Adventure, like, my favorite anime of all time, I really like it. And I always also think that Tai's original actor, Joshua Seth, is criminally underrated. And, like, I love that Zeno was invoking Seth's kind of tone, but with his own way. But, God, this Tai, like, when we joke that Tai is literally Digimon Jesus in this show, we're not fucking kidding. This might be one of the most flat characters I think I've ever seen Zeno play. And I've watched Zeno be in some pretty, like, very specific fandom-esque shows. Like, hello, I'm one of the 5 people that fucking loves Bungo and Alchemist.
Okay. You see, you went with Bungo and Alchemist. I could have brought up, like, the somehow multiple isekai things he was in back when...
Oh, yeah. The hidden dungeon that only I can enter.
Yeah, back when Gretcher was shipping out stuff to Studiopolis.
Yeah, like, Zeno has been in some wide variety of stuff, but, like, even those shows which are, like, more niche, and at least in the isekai show, like, they're very bad. Like, I at least felt there was something there. Like, I have to say it, this Tai is a Mary Sue.
Oh, absolutely.
And nothing more pisses me off about this fucking Tai than episode 24. To which, Zeno, yes, is acting his heart out, and it's great. But how dare you kind of invoke one of the best moments in Digimon history, which is, if any of you are a fan of the original, like, I guess, Immaculate Four, I'm gonna call them, of Digimon, the original quartet of Digimon anime being Adventure, Adventure 2, Tamers, and Frontier, you will very, very much know that of the 4 of them, Tamers is ultimately regarded as probably the best one of the 4, because it was written very well and beyond what a lot of kid shows were going for. And there is an incredibly dark moment in that, where after Jerry, there's this character, Jerry, who has been through a lot and has to watch her partner, Leomon, because it's a Leomon, get brutally massacred in front of all of her friends. And in this moment, Takato, played by Brian Beacock, fucking loses his goddamn mind over this. And in that moment, he causes his very sweet and lovable partner, Guillemon, to digivolve into this terrible virus-like level Digimon that is spewing hate and vile and anger, and he is basically like, no, we're gonna fucking kill this dude, in front of all of their friends, and it is genuinely treated as, like, the single most horrific thing that happens in the story at that point. And if you've ever seen Digimon Tamers, you know it gets fucking wilder from there. So in this show, Tai is fighting, like, I think it's like Neo Devimon at that point, or God knows what the fuck it was. And it's genuinely a very creepy Digimon that's crawling around on all fours and using darkness and shit, and I will give the show credit that is actually really cool, except for, the fact that, like, they've just killed Devimon, like, 2 times now, and even Myotismon needed 3 days to come back in Adventure, you fucking heathens. But Tai goes berserk and turns Agumon into Machine Dramon. And they're like, oh no, if they keep going, Machine Dramon's gonna turn evil. And then TK pulls like some angel of biblically accurate TK and Angemon shit and gets Mega Greymon, and then Tai doesn't fucking remember anything about it. And it's just like, oh yeah, well all that shit happened. I don't remember, and he's just like okay with it, not knowing that he almost went full on fucking Blood Knight mode.
Yeah. You compared it to Digimon Tamers. I was gonna make a much more simple but much more apt comparison. Just to give you an idea of like how different Tai is written between versions. Because you see, in the original version of Digimon Adventure, and granted it's been like a few years since I've seen it, so I probably am gonna like mess up a few details. It was a point during the Enemon arc they were. So there was a point during the Enemon arc where like Tai was kind of like getting a little bit too cocky for his own britches. So he and the gang were doing stuff, and they fell into some sort of trap. And during that scenario, Tai kind of lost control of himself and gave into anger. And in the moment of giving into anger, he accidentally caused Greymon to Digimon into Skull Greymon, which wasn't great because Skull Greymon went berserk and started not only attacking Tai but also all their friends, and that whole situation got pretty brutal. And then while Skull Greymon does eventually like turn back to Koromon, that situation sticks with Tai, and it scares him for the next few episodes. And as a result of that, he spends the next few episodes being extremely down on himself and kind of a little bit afraid to do anything or, really believe in himself, which, kind of ties in with the whole thing of his grasping courage. And then as that whole thing progresses, there is a moment where Tai kind of needs to take a leap of faith and be brave and kind of get himself back together. And that's the moment where he pushes past his fears and gets to properly Digimon Greymon into Metal Greymon. So yeah, we get all that, and then you contrast that with Tai giving to anger here, which again, he gives it to anger because his friends got hurt, and gets a simple 10-second power up that defeats Devimon, and then it's never brought up again. And the difference in contrast there is to just tell you everything you need to know about how badly written this version of Tai is.
Yeah, Tai literally has no character faults up until that moment, and even then, it's less even treated like a character fault, because in that moment, he's literally wailing on a Digimon that has caused nothing but pain and fear the entire time, so there's no nuance to it. And I think that's kind of the biggest complaint that I have, is that this show has absolutely no nuance to it. Therefore, I don't think a lot of these actors can give as good of a performance as I think they're all capable of. Not because they're not talented, but because the show is not letting them have it.
Yeah, I ready to move into final thoughts because there is kind of a little bit something I want to say about what I think the tone of this reboot is and why it's kind of like misguided.
Yeah, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that this dub is just good. It's one of those times where, like, you have such an incredible cast on paper, but they're just let down by the material in front of them. And, like, for the record, I don't think anybody in the dub, whether it be main cast or side cast, genuinely gives a bad performance. There are a lot of really fun little one-off Digimon performances that aren't just growling and stuff, like, specifically Bill Butts as Ogremon. I don't know who's playing Leomon, but he's pretty good. But, like, there are moments there, and the show sometimes lets it have it, but unfortunately a lot of it is just let down because the show believes that Tai can do no wrong, and that he's not allowed to be flawed, and that the other characters aren't allowed to, like, live up to their potential, because they're just not named Tai Kamiya. I think that the only thing I kind of wish to say, I think, is that, like, if you're gonna watch the show, please just watch it the dub for your own fucking sanity's sake. Because it's like watching either paint dry or it's completely infuriating. And I give Ryan Johnson and his crew a lot of credit for putting out what they did and stuff. Would I buy this if Toei put it out on Blu-ray? Absolutely not, because I don't want to support them making more bad remakes. That's everybody else's job at this point, Toei, and I say that in Suesh is doing weird shit with their other properties. But overall, I think it's a good dub. It just held back by bad material. Could have been like I genuinely think if it had better material, this could have easily been one of those like best of the year dubs. It's just held back so much by inferior material. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, inferior material can't make a bad dub. It's like, no, there are actors who have outright said, like, yeah, no, we turned out a really good dub. Doesn't mean we worked on a good show. And if you think that the show is good, cool, power to you. We're not just random haters and stuff. We're coming from a genuine place of, we love Digimon. Like, I think Jet, more than anybody, watches a lot of them as they're airing in Japan. Out of all of us. So if anybody here loves Digimon the most, it's the man sitting across from me. Digitally sitting across from me. Like, he loves this stuff, and I 100% stand by him, and I'm not upset that I watched the show with him and did this, because this was a lot of fun, and I had a good time, like, both talking about the dub in a constructive criticism way, but also ripping on the show itself. But overall, like, maybe I'll go back and finish the next 50-something episodes one day, in probably shorter bursts, but, like, I think the dub was serviceable, and that's okay. I just wish it was a little bit better, and that's probably a lot of my nostalgia talking, but sometimes you might need to let your nostalgia goggles win. In very, very slight circumstances, please do not live with your nostalgia goggles as eyes. It is not a great way to live.
Mm-hmm. As for me, well, as for me, I'm gonna echo some of Megan's sentiments. I like the double. I like the double on. It is simply the best way to watch the show. All the performances are really solid. The script is pretty solid. You can definitely tell like, a lot of people working on it had a lot of love for what they were doing and were definitely having fun with what they could. But none of that can really kind of change the fact that the show is. I mean, as the dub is just more or less kind of held back by its source material, and its source material has a lot of problems. And going into those problems, I mean, it was kind of mentioned very specifically that the show was kind of trying to go for a more action-oriented approach than the original series, which was more character-driven. And while that personally seems very weird to me, since being character-driven is kind of like the thing that I personally think makes Digimon such a great franchise, I can at least on paper respect the idea to go for something different. So, and there are ways it could have made that work, but it doesn't quite. But it doesn't quite pan out here because this show kind of runs on like pure escalation all the time, which is kind of okay for like maybe the first few episodes when it so kind of has a decent sense of mystery, but when that's all it is, it gets pretty repetitive and it's kind of annoying. And if I had to describe this show's problems, it feels like it feels kind of ironic given the fact that we've kind of gone on about how much it kind of has less depth than the original. It feels like it's a show that is kind of taking itself a bit too seriously for its own good, where it wants to be like really dark and serious and like have all these super high stakes. But because it hasn't taken the time to give us like a whole lot of character stuff. No matter how high the stakes go, it's kind of hard because there's not a whole lot of reason to actually care about what's happening, and it's unfortunate. And yeah, that sentiment just kind of carries out throughout the whole show. It's just it just feels extremely misguided. And yeah, as mentioned before, it's kind of annoying they focus a whole lot on Tai. But honestly, even that I feel like could have worked because there actually is in fact a really great Tai centered thing that is in fact my favorite Digimon thing, and that thing is Digimon Adventure: Last Evolution Kizuna, which everyone should see if you can. That movie is actually really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, back I think my rant is done.
Well, this was fun. Where can we watch this?
If you would like to watch the dub specifically, it is currently only available on. Okay, well, it is mainly available on Hulu, or or I guess now like Disney Plus in the U.S. But like,
It's not. I tried. It's still just locked.
okay, so it's still just Hulu in the U.S. if you want to watch it. I guess it might be on U.S. Disney eventually, but not now. And it's also on, I think, Hoopla and Hoopla. If you want another like free digital option, no, Hoopla is kind of complicated to use, and you need to have a library card to use that. And then I'm pretty sure you can also like buy the show digitally up of iTunes, but like yeah, as far as the dub goes, those are your only options. And if you want to watch the show subtitled, it is still available on Crunchyroll. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, by guess that more or less does it for us. We are the Depth Talk Podcast. You can find us on all the social medias, the Blue Skies, the Instagrams, the Tumblr, and you know, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, this weird, demented little playground that I will still call Twitter. I'm not calling it the other thing, no matter what he says. And yeah, and if you'd like to support anything we're on. We usually have new episodes going up every other Friday on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, just all the podcast places. And you can also support us one time today to our Ko-fi, or you can be one of our lovely patrons before entering tonight and letting about a shout out to our patrons. In the $5 tier, we have Megan's mom and dad,
Hi,
Michelle,
parents.
Michelle Travis, and Victor Marabona. And in the $10 tier, we have Anthony Brown, Carl Litzicow, Kamara Soup, Mersalenti, and Otako Anthony. Thanks for your support, guys. Really appreciate it.
We love you.
Okay? And, okay, so where can the fine folks find you, Megan?
You can find me on Twitter at QueenEra2, where I shitpost and post pictures of my cat, who is lovingly sleeping on my bed, nice and quiet, and as I say that, she has opened her eyes to death glare at me.
I can hear you talking about Digimon in the background.
Yeah, she's like, Digimon isn't me.
And as for me, you can find me on the Twitters, the Blue Sky at Divine Dega, or you can also find me on another Podcast One, where I'm usually talking about anime news alongside Phone Tacos Andrew. And I also do some writing. You can usually find me writing on my blog, The Nerdy Abyss, where I'm usually just talking about whatever shonen stuff I'm reading. And I also do some freelance stuff for and occasionally. Did some stuff at Anime NYC, and so waiting for one more thing to go up that'll probably be out by the time this is up.
Please support Jet in his writing. Like, I have been friends with you for like 7 years now, which is a long time to think about. I have genuinely never met a person who does such thoughtful writing and thoughtful introspection on a lot of things that he is passionate about. So please support Jet's writing. He is a fantastic writer and a very good dude, and my life is better knowing that he is one of my best friends.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for putting up with my goblin-ass bullshit on most occasions.
Same here. All right. So that more or less does it for us tonight. Thanks for joining me on this one. This was pretty fun in spite of everything.
Yes, and I hope to see you again when those discotheque movie re-releases come out so we can talk about them. Or we take that 50-episode plunge into the original adventure, which I would be more than down to do next year.
Yeah, but hopefully one of those two things happens, or those Digimon Ghost Game rumors end up coming true, which that would be nice. I do kind of want that.
Same, just so I can watch it, because I've heard Ghost Game is kind of unhinged.
Oh yeah, it is extremely episodic, but it is extremely episodic, but it is a pretty interesting monster of the week thing, and like there are some episodes that really make you wonder how on earth it's a kid show. It's really wild. But
Yeah.
anyway, until either of those things happen, I guess we'll be checking out. So thanks for joining us, friends, and until next time, otaku on.
Bye, guys. Have a good night, and be digi-brodacious or something.
Ah, be prodigious.